Here we are in the garden with a garden update. This is the very end of April, so our garden's made a lot of progress. I pretty much planted it without showing you all, but today we're weeding, so we're all under here weeding it.
Oh, I thought this was a plant, but it's a weed.
And I have my helpers. So we are identifying the green bean plants and they're picking the weeds around them. So it's good to teach them what each plant is early on, and that they can help with the weeding. You just have to help them identify what they are so that way they get the right plants. And this is our first time weeding just because I wanted to make sure the plants were established before I started pulling anything. And because it's been super wet and super cold. Today is so nice.
Yeah, it's gonna be 80 degrees this afternoon.
Yeah, so I'm gonna turn this around and show y'all a little bit of everything.
Hard. If you find some hard, give for Ian.
One right here.
Yeah, so I planted several green bean plants. A lot of them didn't come up, but we still have, I think I counted about 20 or something. So we have this netting over because it keeps our chickens from eating it. Yesterday I lifted back that side so I could
I can stand up
put these wood chips on here.
I know the bone.
Yeah, okay, quit. And as soon as I did, a chicken jumped in there, took off running across, and then my rooster wanted to eat me. Yeah, those are big roots on those, huh? What is that? Yeah, those are tomatoes.
What's this stuff?
That's the wood chips from Daddy's shop. They're pine and cedar wood chips.
I can see weeds.
And they're supposed to keep the slugs and stuff off of our,
What's that?
like broccoli and cucumber, or broccoli and cabbage.
What's that about?
Those are radishes already poking up.
Ian, these red balls are right here.
Oh yeah, that's a nasty one. So we're having a weeding day. Woo, man, that one's got a long. So sometimes they can look not so scary, but then you pull out this foot-long root at the bottom, and that's what's hurting your plants. Here's a good patch of weeds. So one thing I did when I had a bunch of seeds at the very end was I just sort of put a bunch right here. So I have one right there, this one, and 3 right there, and this one. So what I was gonna do was separate probably these 3, and I'm gonna wait to see if that one comes up before I move that one. But I'll probably take like these 2 and this one and move them so that way I can fill in a few of these gaps. Alright, so I just lifted those 3 that were right there up out of the ground, and I left this one because it disturbed all 3 when I did it. So I'm going to put these right along in here. So you can already see like the roots on these are very established. I'm going to plant this one right here. I always forget to grab gloves, but I don't care. Alright, so I'm gonna try to get this one's root down in there pretty good. Good morning, everybody. I'm sitting on my porch, or not porch, but my garden swing in front of my garden here. And so I wanted to kind of do like an update of what it looks like the rooster Kevin keeps crowing. He's at the beginning of our videos. That rooster you hear crowing at the beginning is Kevin. So anyway, there he goes again. He likes to be really loud. So it's been raining here. Today is March, or not March. Today is May the 17th. We're having a lot of rain, so we had a really long rain spell, and my garden, I had to do a little bit of redesigning on it because the rain was really flooding my garden. So this is my first year doing my garden this way, and this is the biggest garden I've ever had. So it was just, we're on a slight slope, like it's not a huge slope for our garden, but it was enough to make it to where the rain was draining from our chicken area towards my garden, which is great for fertilizing it. But it wasn't great for the fact that the water was backing up to my greenhouse and causing it to not flow properly. And I used to have bricks right there, a little brick pathway. I had to move all of those bricks. Anyway, I've made garden changes. Anyone that gardens knows that you adapt to the environment you're given. So I went several days without watering just because the soil was still really damp every time I would check it. So now it looks like we're getting rain, but it's not like these huge downpours where it's just flooding anymore. Alright, so here's this side of my garden. I have little kale growing here that I'll probably find a shade spot to plant, like sort of semi-shaded. Okay. What is it? It's a worm? Let me see. Thanks. So every time the kids find an earthworm, if the earthworm dies, we give it to the chickens. But if it's alive, they put it in my garden or in the compost. So anyway. I'm not leaving you. So here we have the carrots. They're doing amazing. So our baby chicks came in here whenever it frosted. We had one late frost in May, and we brought them in here so they would be all right. And also while it was like flooding outside in our garden, because we were moving them around and they weren't big enough for the big chickens. So anyway, they ate all the tops off of my carrots. They had it down to just bare nothing. But then I looked it up, and it's actually a good thing because it's kind of like it's kind of like pruning them, and so it forces the plants to focus their growth on the size of the carrot. So now they've all grown back. So if your carrots ever get destroyed by your chickens or a weed eater or anything like that, they do grow back. Anyway, those are the kale. I have them out here hardening off so I can put them out in the garden. So here's my squash. If you watch the old Alabama gardener, he mentions putting foil around the base, and it keeps the root or the stem borers from boring into your squash plants. So I'm gonna try that out. And also these cedar chips and pine chips that came from Steven's shavings from his projects he's been doing in the shop. So you can see here I have a little squash growing, and even over there, that one looks really beautiful. Then we have a few little ones that are just... So actually these two weren't doing anything until about 2 days ago. And my okra wasn't doing anything either for about 2 days. So what I was saying about the wood chips is that it keeps pests away. They're supposed to not like the smell of the pine and everything. Also,
your ogre needs to grow and we will eat.
I know. We'll fry it.
Yeah.
It'll be so yummy.
Yes.
So you can see like little baby jalapenos. I have some big Bertha bell peppers, which I've never used that variety before. This is the only variety my store had. Then I also have banana peppers. So it's nice to see these little jalapenos on here.
That's good.
I'm ready to make some salsa.
I put it.
These are the potatoes we planted. Here's our dog Brittany. She's about 12 years old, and she's the best dog. Like, she's our neighborhood dog, our neighborhood watchdog. So these are the potato plants I planted. I got them in pretty late, but it's actually been a cool spring. So I mean, that's actually great. So next year I'll just make sure I get them in quicker. This is kind of just a learning process for us on potatoes this year. It's our first time planting them. We have another thing of carrots. So I love growing carrots. Here I planted, I think, 3 rows of carrots with the boys. This is our compost. We planted like 2 rows of corn right here. That's our spinach. I think it's just way too hot to have spinach, and that flood, when my garden kind of flooded, it really messed with them, and we thinned them out a lot because a lot of them had way too much water. Here we have some lettuce. I might have to come back through and thin them out again. So we've been thinning them out and making little salads as we thin out. This is our second patch of radishes. We've already eaten our first batch. So this is my iceberg lettuce. These are a patch of wildflower seeds that I sprinkled, and it said to sprinkle heavily. So I did, and they're coming up really nicely. Here we have my broccoli that I started from seed, so I'm pretty happy with these. I think it's finally starting to want to grow something. Here's a whole row up until we get here. These are looking a little brown too. I need to pick off like these back leaves. Throw them out. Then we come down here to my cabbages. So you can see we've had a little bit of pest on them. So these are all green beans. They're doing amazing. Like, I was so unsure if they were even gonna come up. This guy, I've been watching this one because he just has this long vine growing off of him. I have my cucumbers here. And wow, it's so crazy how when the temperatures change, everything starts to pop out quickly. Kevin, you be nice. We had to put up a higher fence around the chickens because they were Kevin likes to intimidate our neighbors, and I also wanted to keep them out of my garden. This side is my bush crop, and this side is our pickling cucumbers, which I've never done pickles, but we're gonna experiment and try it this year. And my tomatoes were looking super sad. I thought I was going to lose them. I thought this one was surely gonna die. It was sad looking. So what I did was I took Steven's shad bait that he got from a ditch over in our the town next to us, and Kevin, I blended it up and I dug a trench right all along through the middle there. And when I blended it up with a blender, I buried it. And I add another layer of topsoil to my tomatoes. And then I also laid down some triple 13. Near them, kind of sprinkled it and mixed it within the soil, and also I put in Epsom salt. So you can see my tomatoes are looking very, very good now. So here's some more cabbage. They look really good. I'm just thinking maybe I planted them too late. But I'll be happy with it, whatever I get, I guess. These are basil from the basil seeds I kept last year. And these have taken a long time to come up too, because they like warm weather. I need to come through here and weed now that I can tell the difference between the sprouts and weeds. So basil's a really good companion plant for my tomatoes. So yeah, that's my garden. I'm pretty satisfied with it this year. It's the biggest garden I've ever had, the hardest I've ever worked on a garden. You can see my potato plants are doing really good. Just looks so amazing. I'll see you next time. Bye.